Today on 100 Huntley Street, if you find yourself ready to walk away from your matrimonial vows and throw in the towel, we want you to stay tuned to today's episode. Regardless of how in despair you may be feeling, there is hope. Plus, we're going to get all the feels that Valentine's has to offer with some special music. It all starts right now.
Welcome, friends, to what is going to be a life-giving show today. For those of you facing challenges in your marriage, this is Love Week, and we are committed to resourcing you with the tools to help bring healing and health back into those most valuable relationships,
Right,
Laura.
and hope is possible. Marriages can be restored. And it's a powerful thing to say in the face of some of the stats we're seeing about the status of marriage in Canada. Marriage is on a decline in Canada. More people are remaining single or engaging in common law partnerships. So the stats are showing this to us, and the question's why.
Exactly, and we're going to get into that a little bit later with my guest. We look back at 1991, 54.1% of Canadians were married. Fast track to 2021, that's dropped to 44.3%. Another study, Laura, indicated that number could be as low as 38%. So the question is, why aren't people committing to marriage relationships? We'll try to get into that later.
We will. And, you know, the highest number of married couples in 2021 was ages 60 to 64 at 7.741%, followed closely by ages 55 to 59 at 7.692%. I'm getting specific.
We're getting into some statistics here. We're going to do some analysis and make some assumptions.
Yeah, you do.
I do love the numbers. Now, the average length of a marriage in Canada right now is 15.3 years.
Right.
And the average age at marriage is 30.7. Let's say 30 years old in 2020. A reasonable assumption would be that a significant number of married Canadians in these age groups had a first marriage, divorced, and have remarried.
That's right.
So we're talking about multiple marriages.
What an insight.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, marriages among young Canadians who are aged 25 to 29, that's declining. So from 35.7% to 20.9% between 1996 and 2016. So just in 10 years.
That's significant. Now, Laura, I know these numbers can be overwhelming, and we don't want to get bogged down in numbers, but we know restoration and reconciliation is possible. That's why we are here today, to drive that message home. It is considered the fundamental building block and essential foundation upon a healthy and stable society. And more importantly, God is invested in our marriages. It's important to Him.
It certainly is. It's a sacred institution that God has designed so that society can thrive at its best. And I'm so excited about your guests today, Jeeva and Sulojana Sam. They're going to be talking to us about how we can foster strong marriages and really some of the insights into why marriages aren't thriving, what we can do about it. And, you know, they really believe no marriage is beyond repair.
Absolutely.
Well, that's incredible.
They are on a mission to see 50,000 couples brought back from the brink of divorce, and they are charting a course that God has equipped them with some great principles to help breathe life into marriages that maybe feel like it's over. They've tried everything.
That's right. And, you know, we also have some wonderful music today, a lovely song, Adagio, sung by yours truly. I'm so excited.
Right. Yes.
You,
a little bit later in the program. Yeah.
It will be part of a concert that you did and will be airing on Yes TV. So we can't wait for you to see this beautiful song, reminding us all about the power of love. But first, we've got Voskamp with us to talk to us about what it means to have a revelation from the God who loves us so much.
Did you know that during our average 12 waking hours, 23 words grab for our attention every single second? 23 words per second through our phones, email, TVs, radios, newspaper. How many of those words that grab our attention are His words? It's tender to sit with the reality. Only our own lack of love can keep us from His love letter. Only being captivated by other words can keep us from His word. It's never that we don't have enough time. It's always that we have different priorities. And this is why we make it a priority to read the Word. We don't read the Word to merely know how to obey God's will for us. We read the Word to know God, the one who made the world, to have a fresh revelation of God in His heart and to understand who He is and how He is for us and how we are made for Him. And as we're all together on this sacred prayer journey, to have this way of life that it's a continuous soul habit, following that acronym SACRED, stillness, to know God. A, attentiveness to hear God. C, cruciform, to surrender to God. And then the R of sacred is revelation, to see God. Ultimately, the word is read for a revelation of love himself, who came for relationship with us. You read the page, the word, to fall in love with a person, the word. Because there is a knowing that is only information, and there is a knowing that is wholly intimacy. The sacred call is to know God. And in Hebrew, that word know is yada. Yada is a Hebrew word that is about inner engagement, dedication, or attachment to a person. There is a knowing of God that is a surface level. And there is a knowing of God that is intimate, soul to soul, where we are deeply attached to God. This is the sacred way of Jesus. We read his word for more than only information or instruction, but we read his word always for a fresh revelation of Jesus' heart. So we ultimately have intimacy with him. A sacred, intimate knowing is the only real knowing of Jesus. So every day we say, we want God to reveal to us the way to go. And God comes with this invitation. Do we reach first thing every day for his word, for a fresh revelation of him, the one who is our way, that he might reveal more of himself to us? Because without the lens of the word, our world warps. So in sacred prayer, we do exactly what Deuteronomy 32, verses 46 to 47 reads. Take to heart all the words I have solemnly declared to you. They are your life.
This month, as our thanks for your ministry support of Crossroads in 100 Huntley Street, we're excited to offer the book Sacred Prayer, 90 Days of Deeper Intimacy with God by beloved Canadian author Anne Voskamp.
True prayer isn't about changing God's mind, but about finding God's heart and letting his heart change our minds.
Drawing from her own intimate walk with God, Anne shares the profound yet simple sacred method of prayer. 6 steps that open the door to genuine communication with our Creator.
Through these pages, you'll discover how to transform anxiety into peace, turn routine into revelation, and make each prayer an intimate conversation with the one who loves you most.
With a gift of $40 or more, or when you become a new monthly partner, request your copy. Call 1-800-265-3100 or visit crossroads.ca/prayer.
Such a helpful word from Anne on our journeys with Jesus. And, you know, this sacred prayer journal is something that our entire team is actually working through. And you can see all my writings here. You know, today I focused on Revelation as one of the points. And in this journal, Anne points us to the place where Jesus says, what do you want, to his disciples? What do you need? And I'd never thought about that. Jesus actually wants to know what we want. He wants us to plainly say the needs in our hearts. And that's a big revelation for me. I don't know if it's a big revelation for you, but as we work through this journal, there are so many other revelations God wants to give to us. So call 1-800-265-3100 or go to crossroads.ca/prayer with your suggested gift of $40 or more. We're able to send this to you, and we can journey together in new ways with the God who loves us so much. You know, speaking of God saying, what do you want? Jesus saying, what do you want? We can talk to Jesus about what we want through prayer. Prayer changes our hearts and our situations, and it helps us to have the healthiest kinds of marriages that God designed, actually. So right now, to help us have those kinds of marriages and relationships, here's Mark and his guests.
Thank you, Laura. Well, in an age where marriages are failing at a staggering rate, my guests say that going from breakdown to breakthrough is possible. In fact, they offer a guaranteed result through their marriage mentorship program. For many years, Pastor Jeeva and Sulojana Sam have been helping couples navigate the sometimes difficult waters of marriage. They're also best-selling authors of the book, The Unbreakable Marriage, and they've got some great wisdom for us today. Welcome back to 100 Huntley Street, Jeeva and Sulojana.
Thank you. Great to be back.
It's so good to have you. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate you on 41 years of marriage, a marriage that was arranged, by the way.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just for our viewers, what might be a unique dynamic in a marriage that's arranged versus ones that sort of come together more in the Western way?
I think the parents are more involved in our, bringing us together. And, they look at things from a different perspective. No emotions involved. So in our culture here, there's so much, emotions involved. And one advice is, seek the advice of, somebody that you trust, a leader, a pastor, in making those kind of decisions. Mm-hmm. That's what I, feel is different in an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the Indian culture, marriage is seen as the coming together of two families, not just two individuals. And so the family backgrounds matter a lot. And, and we grow up trusting our parents to do the due diligence and to look for those factors that they know, because they know the children better than anybody else.
It's true.
When we bring these two together, they can make it work.
And I guess there's a compatibility between families that's established before the two to be married come together, and that can often be a bone of contention in newlyweds and their experience if perhaps they've come together on their own, which is common for the Western culture. This is a week where we focus on love and all the feelings associated with Valentine's Day. But for many couples, they are feeling anything but love. Just how prevalent are issues in our marriages today?
Go ahead.
I feel like love is a choice. We hardly knew each other, but we chose to love each other. Just like, God chose to love us. No matter what we go through, what we do, all the sin we commit, in spite of all of that, God still loves us. And the same thing in a marriage too, you make a decision, make a commitment, make a choice to love. And, it just takes over.
You say, I do once, but you say, I will make this work. Maybe 10,000, 100,000, million times in the marriage.
I do once, but I will a million times. In your marriage mentorship, which I love the way you frame that, what are you noticing are the major factors contributing to the breakdown in our marriages?
Yeah. So when couples come to us, there are a few common elements that we notice. Number one, they may not be talking to each other because they're not communicating anymore. And here are the people who, through courtship, could not wait to be with each other for 6 hours, come back, and then get on the phone for 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, the communication isn't there. They have difficulty resolving conflict. And the ones that couldn't keep their hands off each other now have adopted a hands-free policy. So they don't even want to sometimes look at each other when they come to see us, let alone touch each other or have any kind of intimacy.
Yeah, the other thing too, all the baggage they are bringing from their childhood, going back, to their childhood, it can be trauma, abuse, or even broken previous relationships. If they are not healed, those unhealed hurts that they bring into the marriage can cause, marriage problems.
It's amazing how long a marriage can go before these issues start to arise and become really problematic. And I want to go to the communication thing for a second, because it seems absolutely ridiculous, and yet it's so common. Why would the person that you are to love the most or be most concerned with their well-being, why would you stop communicating with them? Why do we stop talking and being open with each other?
Yeah, and I think you just hit the right word there. The word is being open. Like one of the things that we teach in our process with communication is transparency. And so when you start compromising transparency, when you start keeping things to yourself, don't share everything that is going on, then you essentially get into a pattern. Right. And I would say the pattern actually becomes a stronghold, and then it becomes very difficult to break. And so that's when the distance between the two keeps on going, increasing and increasing, and all of a sudden it's like we're sharing the same roof, but that's about all we're sharing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We know now, going back to 2020, COVID wreaked havoc on our mental health and relationships. Are we still dealing with the fallout of that? Do you think even 5 years later? Is that what you're noticing in your practice?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah. Some of the things they went through, they didn't deal with it, and it was like swept under the rug. And now, all of a sudden, they are getting to a point, they need some help. And so we're getting some people who are coming to us. And
yeah, like sometimes, people talk about, well, COVID caused a crisis in marriage. It didn't. COVID actually exposed the cracks in your marriage.
Right.
Yeah. And so if somebody was willing to confront it honestly and openly and seek the help that they needed at that point, but the thing about COVID was everybody thought, oh, it's all going to be over next month. And so there was this huge avoidance, and then all of a sudden, you're back to normal life, and the issues haven't gone away. The only problem was because they were not dealt with during COVID, everything has reached a higher level of intensity. We actually were talking to a family lawyer, and he said, well, the big difference I noticed since COVID, or even during COVID, is that we didn't notice an increase in divorces, but we noticed an increase in the intensity of the people seeking divorce. They want to get it over and done with, like, right now, because they couldn't put up with this anymore, so get me out of here quickly.
Okay, so we've delivered all the maybe less than good news about marriage and relationships. Let's talk to the young couple right now that is considering making that next step together. What would be your advice to them before they make that commitment in marriage?
Yeah, there's help out there. Don't suffer alone. If you know, and don't wait too long till it gets really bad. Get in touch with your pastor or somebody in your family that you trust, and get the help that you that you need. Most of all, pray. Pray together. God has a solution to all our problems, and go to Him first. And your marriage will can be restored.
Yeah.
Right?
And
can I just interject for a second? Is it too early for young couples that haven't committed to each other in marriage yet to start having the really transparent conversations about their history, about their trauma, about the baggage they're bringing in? Is that something they should be addressing right at the get-go?
Absolutely, yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the ways in which God showed us that we're going to save 50,000 marriages from divorce is by starting with couples before they get married.
Right.
And equip them with the tools that they need, help them to get cleaned up of past hurts. So when they come in, see, a lot of times when people come to us, they're talking about the baggage or the hurts that were inflicted in the marriage. But what they really need to confront is the baggage they brought into the marriage. Right. Because when that's taken care of, and you relate to each other as to heal people, that's like heaven on earth. If you're really dealing with as to hurt people, you're going to end up hurting each other, and you won't even feel bad about it.
Yeah. You talk a lot about prayer and seeking counsel with your pastor, with a Christian counselor. What makes the biblical approach to your marriage mentorship program so effective? And how has the Bible been utilized to tailor your approach to this ministry?
Well, everything we do is scriptural. Like one of the most common aspects of marriage where people mess up is in alignment. Right. Because there is a biblical alignment for marriage that God has prescribed. And when you are out of the alignment, it's like a car that's out of alignment. You're going to veer off the highway of life, and you'll end up in the ditch called divorce. And so alignment is something that we teach that is biblically sound. Intimacy with God, which is all over Scripture. See, before you can really experience intimacy with each other, if you both are intimate with God, in developing that intimacy, you are getting closer to each other.
Yes. Yeah. And it changes everything when Christ becomes the center. Just in our couple of minutes left that we have here together, is there a success story maybe that stands out to you that you could share with us really briefly of a couple that's come to you? Perhaps a couple that's been like down the road in terms of years of marriage together. Like we're talking 20, 30 years, and they were living a stagnant marital existence, but God did something miraculous in their relationship.
Well, I'll start the story and then Sulojana can jump in. So a couple came to us. I believe they were married for 26 years at the time. And she described afterwards, we were like two porcupines together. You know, we were together, but we couldn't be together without hurting each other.
Right.
Yeah. And so what actually happened was, like, they were both godly people and started off the marriage properly, but they had allowed neglect to set in. They had developed some patterns that were not healthy, and they forgot to, develop patterns that were healthy and godly and kept them together. As a matter of fact, once they finished the mentorship and got the breakthrough, one of the things she said, we're actually doing Bible study together and praying together.
And the intimacy was not there. And, after going through our mentorship, they were intimate again. And like Jeeva said, and they were in business together. And their business started growing, once they got the marriage together. So the blessings, of God was flowing as they got, their marriage together.
The ripple effect is just almost more than they could expect. Just one more moment here that we have together. For the couple that's ready to call it quits, what would be the one piece of advice or counsel that you'd give them, either one of you? Just some advice that you would give them to give them something to hold on to, so that there's still hope.
Stop before you rush into it. Just take stock. Okay. So for example, we had this conversation with a couple the other day. They're close to 40. So I said, statistically, you're going to both live for another 40 plus years. And right now it looks like there's no way, that you can fix everything. What if you took a year or maybe even 2 years to work on things, get them back on track? You're still going to have 40 years of wedded bliss.
Yes.
And so you got to look at that perspective. And as Sulojana said earlier, there's always hope. And there's help. And ask for the help as early as you possibly can. Don't let things, get even worse before you get to the point where divorce looks like the only option.
Yes, and we want to put up a link to your ministry site that has some really great resources for people to get a hold of you, a place to start on this journey. The resounding message is from both of you, and we're so thankful to have you on the program today, is that there is hope. So don't give up, folks. Learning how to access God's power along with implementing biblical principles and tools is the key to experiencing health in our marriages. It is possible. Thank you, Jeeva Sulojana, for being with us today. You have given hope to so many of our viewers today. God bless you.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
the opportunity.
What an encouraging conversation. I've been married for 21, 22 years now, and I've also experienced marital challenges, but at the base of a strong marriage, I've known that it's Jesus, and the difference that a relationship with God makes for a couple is everything. So if you need prayer right now for you or your husband, your wife, please call our prayer partners at 1-866-273-4444. They'll pray with you, encourage you, and I want to tell you, God can move in new and mighty ways in your marriage. Prayer has a way of communicating the messages of our hearts, but music also has a way of communicating the messages of our hearts. We're so pleased to bring you a beautiful song from Mark Masri's concert special airing on Yes TV February 16th. Here's Mark Masri performing Adagio.
Il fiume dei ricordi, il gretto del passato, sta ritornando da me, sta rivivendo per te, ma dove ti troverò? Se tu non vuoi, non so dove trovarti, non so come cercarti, ma sento una voce che nel vento parla di te. Quest'anima senza cuore aspetta te. Baci tuoi che mi bruciano ancora, che mi fanno languire, che mi fanno morire. I don't know where to find you. I don't know how to reach you. I hear your voice in the wind. I feel you under my skin. Within my heart and my soul, I wait for you. I'll wait for you. Risento i baci su di me, come batte tuo cuore, i baci tuoi, che mi bruciano ancora, che mi fanno languire, che mi fanno morire. Passato sta ritornando da me, no, 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 sta rivivendo per te, ma dove ti troverò se tu non vuoi? Aspetta te.
Thank you. Being a hush that's fallen on the studio, Mark. I was literally like, just watching God's gift active in you. What a beautiful, beautiful song.
I was watching the three veins on my forehead. I'm trying to breathe.
Adagio, sung in Italian and English. And of course, Once Upon a Love Song is the two-part special airing on Yes TV February 16th. You can go to yestv.com/streaming if you want to download our Yes TV app or check your local listings to see where it's playing. I know I'm going to be tuning in because I wasn't able to come. I was under the weather.
I know, you weren't feeling well.
So Jeff and I, that's a Valentine's event.
It is. It's a great Valentine's weekend.
Isn't it? February 16th.
Way to spend your time with your significant other.
Yeah,
There's
that's
some
right.
love music, some love songs as we explore the various aspects of love and
all this week, that's what we're doing. We're exploring God's love, love for each other, love within a marriage. And today, your conversation with the Sams, so encouraging. We've got Ron and Ann Maines coming up later this week, and Grammy Award-winning artist Rebecca St. James.
And her husband, Cubby Fink.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all that God is doing through their lives and in their lives. In the meantime, God loves you, and God bless you. See you soon.
See you soon.
Oh, do you like